Hello, AP physicists. Today and tomorrow, Tuesday and Wednesday, you and your groups will be working on an energy conservation lab using the spring cars. So first you need your track, which will already be made for you, and it should be made of 3 pieces. 1, 2, 3, so it's extra long. On one end you will have a little block stopper. The opposite end we want to elevate above the table in order to get that nice inclined plane shape. So I use some textbooks. You can use the box the car came out of, whatever you need to elevate it. And to power the car, we will rely on the spring. So we've seen this before. If you push this spring all the way in, sometimes they're a little difficult. You can grab a different car if you need to. We're going to align the spring all the way on the end on that block stopper. Very quickly, you will press the button and move your finger out of the way so it does not alter the motion. Something like that. All right. So, for experiment number 1, we are going to be playing with the apparatus itself. So, the question you will need to answer is we want to quantify how does the angle of the ramp affect the motion of the car. So to change that angle, you can keep increasing the textbooks on the side or just adding more materials there. We want to quantify this, so you will have a protractor ready for you. As carefully as possible, we want to know exactly what that angle is. And we want to see as the angle increases, how does the motion of the car change? So motion is a very broad term. So you and your groups will need to decide what are you going to call motion and how are you going to measure it? Okay, you have many different options for materials. You have motion sensors, meter sticks, timers, whatever you need to measure the motion, however you interpret that. All right, that's experiment number 1. Experiment number 2, now we're going to experiment with the energy involved. So the energy of the car is coming from this spring, which we haven't really talked about yet. So in the experiment number 2, the question you will answer is, how does the compression of the spring affect the energy of the car? So I can have a very, very small compression, and it doesn't go very far. Okay? If I compress this a bit more, like we saw earlier, we get a different amount of energy. So what you will need to measure is the actual compression in meters of the spring. Change that up for each trial, each time measuring the energy. Again, a very broad term. The cart experiences many different types of energy throughout its motion. So again, you and your group will need to decide what energy are you looking for and how will you measure it. Okay? So for both experiments, we're trying to quantify this. Eventually you will have graphs for each experiment. You've noticed in the past that 4 trials makes it very difficult to see if we have a linear trend, if it's exponential. So I'm going to tell you guys to shoot for 10 trials each, which will be a lot, but you guys can handle it. You have those 2 experiments to collect data. You'll make some graphs, and in Google Classroom I've posted the requirements for your group lab report. So each group will make 1 lab report that consists of both experiments using your data to support your conclusion. So more information is in Google Classroom. Have a good time.